and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Teresa. Please take the roll.
Okay, Mayor Jones.
Here.
Horn.
Here.
Keel.
Here.
Owen.
Here.
Mattson. Here. And Joey. Here.
Yeah, you want to. All right, do we have any action or additions to the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Motion to approve agenda for tonight?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
All right, how about the minutes from the 5/20/25 meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes from the 5/20/25 meeting.
Yes, that's kind of a,
Second.
oh, that's a, what do they call that? Oh, thank you. Calendar. Same forward. Should have known that. All right, any discussion? Did we get a second?
Yeah, I did.
Got it? All right, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Schilling?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, any bills, Karen?
No bills.
Nope. Public comment? We have two that want to speak. Do you want to go first, Sandy? Because Amy's going to talk too.
I'm just here to make sure that you all got invited to the free ice cream and pie social that's being put on by the Minnehaha County Historical Society. I am a member of that society, as well as the Downtown Hartford, Inc., which is supporting this event and helping this historical society with that. So I just wanted to be sure that you know about it. I know it's a busy weekend, but come if you can, and it's free pie, homemade.
Wow.
Joan Manifold was the main head baker for Hy-Vee for 26 years.
Okay.
She makes the pies, and they're very good. And also that evening, the program will start with some introductions of the various historic and supporting organizations. If any of you attend, we would be glad to have you introduced as part of Hartford. The Historical Society, every June, we do a different park to have this in. We've done Garrettson and one in Sioux Falls, the Arboretum, such and such. Anyway, and I wasn't even the one that paid Hartford. They offered it. So
Well,
here we
there
are.
you go.
And so, yeah, and we'll also be touching on the various DHI projects. We hope to take one of the benches over there to show that off, the different things that the DHI has been doing. But that's also in conjunction with those we're done with a grant from the DAR, which I'm also a member of. And some of those might be here as well. So it's going to be an evening to introduce a broad community to Hartford and to just kind of showcase not only the history, but where we're at today. And there's going to be the special speakers will be the kids from the Irene Hall Archival Resource Center, which is the resource center for the Siouxland Heritage Museums, which I'm also a member of. And if you're not aware of that, it's a good time to learn about it. It's where all the good county records and small towns, I mean, that's where the records should go, because it's all very archival in that beautiful building, and they'll be there forever, and it's open to the public, and people can go in and do their research, and whether it's genealogy, architectural, county, city, photo, whatever. And anyway, I just wanted to
Well,
say I hope you can attend.
we appreciate it. That'll be a,
Thank you, Sandy.
yep, great event.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, Sandy. Amy Farr from the Hartford Area Development Foundation. Good evening, Amy.
Yes, hello Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you an update on the Hartford Area Development Foundation and what we're working on. Let's see here. First, I want to take a moment to share why the partnership with the Hartford Area Development Foundation and the City of Hartford plays a vital role in Hartford's success. Over the years, the HADF has helped attract new businesses, retain businesses existing, promoting the housing developments, support local entrepreneurs and workforce efforts, partnered with city leadership, chamber, and school to move Hartford forward. developed a community development plan, held successful groundbreakings for businesses and developments that have come into the community or have expanded. Over the past few months, the HADF has received a handful of RFIs due to the absence of some of the requirements or infrastructure needs, or they did not fit the culture of Hartford. We were not able to submit for them. However, I'm also working on a few local projects. A few are recreational in nature. One is an opportunity for Hartford that we currently don't have, so it'd be nice if we could land all three of those. I continue to work with landowners. In the past, we annexed in over 500 acres of land in about 2-3 years, which led to additional housing and commercial development, along with property taxes and now the future sales tax. Work with businesses through the Business Retention and Expansion Program, through visits, calls, and just, I guess, Zoom meetings as well to meet their needs. We're building strong relationships with the businesses and developers by assisting them with resources. We're assisting and enhancing the amenities of Hartford Parks in the past, connecting landowners and developers for projects. The HADF has also partnered with the Hartford Area Chamber of Commerce to congratulate the approximately 100 West Central School graduates with a card from both organizations, as well as a keychain. We brought it to share. Love where you live, and it's got Hartford on it. And we encourage them to go out and see the world, but come back to live and do business here and raise their families. So that was wonderful, and we got great feedback from the school on that. I share all things Hartford at meetings and conferences, work with developers to assist them on building spec buildings for interested businesses that would like to locate in Hartford. I'm working on 2 of those right now. Continued work with various organizations such as the DOED, Dakota Resources, EDPA, EDA, Reed Fund, banks, and more, as well as developers. I continue to build these relationships, which continue to be viable for the growth of Hartford for its future. An example of these relationships was the North Oaks Industrial Park, where the HADF worked with Eric Boshine from Reed Fund, Alex Smith, EDA, and Chris Shilkin, the former DOED commissioner, for the grants along with partnership with the city. Working on submitting a handful of grants to assist with projects and infrastructure. I've been given the opportunity to speak about Hartford and the North Oaks Industrial Park by Brandon Lane with Sioux Valley Energy at the Energized Conference back on May 4th, as well as other conferences, Zoom calls, and written articles. Have reached out to area developers for updated maps to add to the Hartford website, continue to share Hartford-related information on social media platforms, and this all happens through the partnerships and support of businesses, the city, the community, and so on. So the HADF would like to thank the city for helping them get their start with the land sales near Swenson Park, and look forward to our continued partnership growing Team Hartford. I think I did that in less than 5 minutes.
Oh, you still got 2 minutes,
Do
yeah.
I? Any questions?
Just
Anybody have
curious,
any questions?
On the Park and Rec opportunities, is that something you connect with the Park and Rec board on?
No, actually, it was something Craig brought and asked for assistance through Sioux Valley Energy, and then I had a contact there that we were able to secure what was needed. For the generator.
Not this group.
I was just thinking you sounded like there was
Don't ask me any questions.
multiple projects that you were working on, and so I was just thinking if there was several Park and Rec.
Not necessarily there yet for that project or project. There might be opportunities there too.
Just want to coordinate and next
No,
time.
no, absolutely.
Is all the infrastructure done? It looks like finally up at North Oaks, or
We're getting ready to put in our CBU mailbox unit.
it looks great. It looks great up there. It's a phenomenal development.
Thank you, with the help of the city and EDA and DOED and Sioux Valley Energy and Reed Fund, made it possible.
All right, anybody else, questions?
The Minnehaha Messenger did a nice article for the HADF, and in it you, they alluded to some announcement, big announcement coming in May. Did I miss that big announcement?
Oh, no, it was made here by another individual, it's Quick Trip.
Okay.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah. And then we did a very nice groundbreaking for the new tenant up in Industrial Park, and thank the mayor and Travis for being there and support that endeavor.
Yep.
That's like you with the shovel, Mayor, right?
I bet.
The only time I'll see you with a shovel is in a picture, you know.
And Jill was there too. That was first groundbreaking.
You got it right.
Does he realize that was all loud? It's true, but hurts a little bit. All right, anything else for Amy? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
Anybody else public comments, or if not, we'll move to visitors, and we have Bev.
I was gonna make a public comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I've never made a public comment from this standpoint, so I don't know if I should go up there or what. Okay, I'll make it, I know, has any counselor?
Just let it rip.
Just let her rip,
Yes, they
John.
have. Yes, they have. Okay, well, yes. So I've been riding my bike around town a lot with the family, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but we have sidewalk issues in this town, and it's terrible. I mean, it's terrible. So I know we've talked about sidewalks in the past. Would like to see the council continue some momentum, and my number, my email, all that's on the council website. So if anybody has any ideas, because here's the thing, a lot of our older parts of town, there's no sidewalks, or there's, you know, it goes up this way, then it stops, and so you have kids that are I just saw it today on my way home from work, you have kids on the road riding a bike on Oaks, a relatively fast street, no stop signs, and then they have to get up and go to the sidewalk. So it's just, we need sidewalks, but I don't know the solution. So if somebody I
Deputy,
think I know this.
it sounds like you need to educate Sean that you can't ride your bike on the sidewalk.
Well, you can, just not on the road.
Well, you can't ride your bike on the roads?
No.
You're not supposed to ride bicycles on Saturday.
Why, no, wait, is that a law?
I wouldn't,
No, hold on, is that a law though? Okay, so it's not a law.
but if you're riding like something that's motorized,
No, we're talking about bikes though. So kids have to ride their bikes on the roads because we don't have sidewalks, well, in large parts of town.
any kid I see that's riding on the road, I tell them to move on the sidewalk, because
Okay.
I don't want them to.
You
get
should go
hit by-
patrol around Oaks and all those areas. The sidewalks are not functional. I've lived here, I've grown up here, and they're so, you did it too, I think. in the
I think
Hartford.
it's a matter of if we make them homeowners replace them or not.
You understand, we're working on it, Sean. We got a few fish in the bucket right now that we're
I
trying
know,
to
it's
clean and
public
fry.
comment time,
Would
it's
you
not
like
on the
some
agenda.
public comment on that?
You know what, you can come to my office with a cup of
No.
coffee and we'll talk, okay, Sandy? Okay, that's my
Yeah.
public comment.
I
How many
Okay.
more minutes do I have left?
No, you're fine.
Okay,
You're out of time.
am I out of time yet?
You leave
Okay.
that answer.
All right. I understand, Sean, you recall,
Oh, yeah.
I started this about a year and a half ago. It's not like we forgot it. We do have a few things on our plate right now, okay?
City sent out letters.
Oh, yeah, I mean, but I will tell you, if we go to the final step, if you want to call it, and we start sending the citizens letters and say, you got to replace your sidewalk, we know that we think it's full here tonight. Wait till we do that. Because people don't like spending their own money. They like OPs, other people's money.
May I comment on that?
Yeah.
Yes,
The property that I had was a house trailer and it had no sidewalk
Correct.
when I first bought it.
right,
Then I put the house in there.
yep,
And part of that was I had to put the sidewalk in because I was no longer grandfathered in.
correct,
That's probably some of the issue with these houses that are older. They never had sidewalk.
correct,
And until new construction happens or a change
correct.
to that property, they are not required to put a sidewalk in, is my understanding,
You are 100% right.
right? So
Yep.
you'd have to make a change to that, and yeah, there'd be.
Or we change the ordinance and just make it happen.
Yeah.
We'd like to
Or
find
the city
at least
puts
some
a
action
sidewalk
funds
in,
or
or
something.
something
Yeah.
in those that don't on the old property. I don't know.
Correct, yep, nope,
Thought it was a good night to bring that up, Mayor.
Gee, thanks, Sean.
yeah, gee, thanks, Sean. All right,
We're gonna promote that when we wanna get off council.
Yes.
yeah, let's wait 2 years until our terms are up, and then we'll start talking sidewalk. That'll be the last initiative we'll put through.
Pretty much.
All right, if there's no other public comments, we will move to visitors. We have Bev, you can come on up and tell us who you are.
I will. Good evening. My name is Bev Skyberg. I have lived in Hartford since 1999, on the same lot and property. The property that I have is on the corner of Vandermark and Railroad. Tan house, big cedar fence, everybody knows I got windows in the fence for the dogs. Gotta have that. But my biggest concern here is I've seen that area go through a whole lot of changes. 1999, when I moved there, the park didn't exist, it was just a grass field. My son's grad pictures were taken in the creek, literally, because there was no bridge. None of that was there. And all that property over there, all that development, that came later on. Okay, we'll start with that. Railroad was a street that never went past the water building, whatever that city building is.
Right.
That's as far as that road ever went when I moved here. So being a dusty road was not an issue. Then about, I'd have to say it was around 2010, that all changed. I think that's about the timeline when they put the road through to hook up to 38. At that point, I was told that was done for farm to market. Great. Farmers need to get to the elevator instead of going down Western or going down Main Street with their big trucks. I get it. Traffic flow wasn't bad. Then we start the housing development over there. Then we have kids and everything else, and we put this wonderful bridge in. That had created quite a traffic flow for a railroad. At that point, they would do mag water once a season, like a season being sometime, usually just before Jamboree days is when it would go down. Okay, so they stretched that out. Let me back up here. Got more traffic through 38, and they put in the new bridge, which handles the children going to school. People then diverted to Fighter to go down Railroad to get to the highway. Why that way is because so they could avoid the school zone in the morning, it was faster. Okay. That dramatically increased the Railroad Street traffic for school buses, because then they put the school bus barns back there. It used to be the only thing that came out was the parking lot for the high school years ago. So we now have school bus traffic. We have traffic to and from the elevator. We also add Sioux Valley Electric. All of them have heavy, large vehicles. Then to that, we now have that development of Turtle Creek Park, beautiful park. The city does a great job on that park, by the way. We have a walk path. We have a dog park. We now have a leaf and tree dump, and we have bus barns. That's all happened in the last 15 years.
Awesome, right?
It is awesome.
Yep.
Okay, it's great. But with all those changes, the city needs to pay more attention to that road. Yesterday morning between 7 o'clock, I started counting at 7 because at 6 o'clock in the morning, I had already had 4 side dumps go by my house. By 7 o'clock to 12 o'clock noon, 17 of them went by my house. I know it's related to the construction, I get that. But that road was starting to get dusty already from the short rain that we had. It only takes 24 hours and it dries out. That road, I've been in front of council before in 2014, asking for more attention. I'm sure Mr. Nelson you remember that.
I do.
Yes. Those people that live, I face railroad, but all the people that live on Kelly, their backyards are getting pounded with dust. So am I, and I'm pissed, as you can tell. There's no other way about it.
Yep.
The beginning of May was an absolute disaster. When I get the neighbor across the street texting me and saying, when are they gonna do this road? Like, how am I supposed to know? She's having a fit because her children can't go up and bounce on the bouncing thing. It's bad. No doubt about it. No. I have a solution I would really like whoever does the roads, I'm not sure if that's you, Craig, or if that's Paul or somebody. I tried to reach out to Paul, never get an answer, doesn't call me back.
Paul.
Is it Paul
Clark?
Clark?
No, he wouldn't be the
He
one.
wouldn't be the one.
Craig is the one that takes care of the road.
I would like to have a conversation with you about this. My suggestion or solution to this problem, I know mag water is expensive, but we need to change the practice on how they do stuff on that road. It has a tremendous amount of traffic. What I'd like to see happen, or what I would suggest, is the only place that mag water really makes a difference is from the bus barn to the stop sign to the west that meets on fire. That's where all the activity is. That's where all the housing is. I know we're only on one side and we're only about 6 or 7 properties, but that's where all it's disturbing. And then it depends which way the wind is blowing. I sat there one night when it was so dusty before the rain. I sat there and watched them playing T-ball over there. The wind was from the north, all that dust, right over the little ball field they got out there. And kids it was terrible, absolutely terrible. I would like to see if they mag watered it just from the bus barns clear to that stop sign. If they do it in the spring, earlier than June, this is ridiculous to wait this long. If they did it between late April, early May, and you take the other half of this chemical and you do it again in August and September, that would tie you over into frost or into winter.
Okay, before you go, when's your schedule, Craig?
So we are planning on mag watering next week.
Yep.
We're looking at. I'd like to make some comments on that, about this year's dust. That road just got gravelled last fall because of,
And I'll answer
because of
you
the
on that.
project. We didn't mag water. We never would mag water until the end of May, first part of June, because you get heavy rains and it washes a lot of it out. So we usually wait till later. Plus, the contractor had to bring another lift of gravel in because we had we're low in areas, so 2 weeks ago, they brought, I don't know how many truckloads in. Michael, how
I
many is
counted
there?
6 that I know
So,
of.
there was all that, because they went all the way,
They didn't, okay.
because
Yeah,
they went
they
all the
did
way, they
bring
went all the
gravel
way
in.
from 38 all the way past your place to get that.
That's correct.
So
It was
that's-
very low
and that
because
doesn't have
they
any-
tore the road up for the construction.
Yep. So there's
Twice.
no residual in that at all, where usually they'll have residual to
That's
keep
right.
the dust out.
It doesn't. And it helped to put the additional gravel on. But we need more. When they took that road apart and they put it back together and they ran their mower, that weighted thing, the roller thing over it, I watched the company do it, because I could tell it was low right away. They took a loader and they loaded 3 dump trucks of what they took off that road and hauled it away. They had to know that that road was not near as high as it was. And that's, I don't know, that was the construction company that had to do with the school building. But that road, I've been mowing that ditch for 25 years. It is way lower than it used to be. It's better since you put the rock in there, but it needs that much again. But regardless, I don't know how you can work out the mag water thing with your, I know it's contracted.
So we mag water for both dust control and road stabilization.
Yeah.
So we don't have to touch the gravels again until fall. And if we do have to touch them, it's usually just back drag in a few spots. We typically do have a little leftover money in our budget for a second application if it's needed. There has not been a lot of falls where we could usually just re-water it and it brings the product back to life again and it stabilizes it again. So
I get that. But it's not, you're not re-watering it or grading it enough. Seriously.
we can look into it.
I'm paying taxes for a reason. I only got curb and gutter that doesn't even go all the way to the gutter on one side. And they pay $100 less than the guy in the corner first in Bentonville. So, I'm not getting enough for my money. You need to do better, and sorry, but We need to do better, and there needs to be another way. The other issue with that road, you talk about sidewalks. When you come out of Vandemark, and kids on electric scooters, I'm sure you've heard this 100,000,000 times. These kids on electric scooters, they're driving up, number one, the wrong side of the road. They're not going with traffic and stopping at the stop sign when they come up from Vandemark and they're heading for the park. They just come shooting out of Vandemark across that road, heading for the park. They do not look.
I get it, that's not a road issue, that's a kid on scooter issue.
What I would like to see on that corner, to help with a lot of things, protect children from being killed, one. And the other thing is it would slow the speed down if people had to stop. They would be starting to hit the brakes before they get to that stop sign, and that also would help with dust. I know it's a big, long process, I've heard all this story, but I think it's a process. We need to be proactive instead of reactive.
You're talking a stop sign where?
Three-way stop sign.
Oh, on Railroad and Vandemark.
Railroad and Vandemark.
I'm a huge stop sign fan.
You know what? Here's my,
I
if
am,
you're
I'm
one
not
of
being
those that
sarcastic. I like
rolls,
stop signs because they stop
stop
people.
signs are not an option. They mean stop. So we need to start ticketing people if we find them going without the damn stop sign.
Can we, no, and I appreciate, it's good to hear this because now this is a unique night where we have a lot of people here. And it's very unusual to have people that actually have real concerns, but yours are real concerns.
I do, because I can
Yeah.
see right in my living room
Yeah.
window, I'm gonna be picking up a kid off that road one day.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee you. it's
So
going
to
to
circle
happen.
back quickly here, because we have a huge agenda tonight, and I do hear what you're saying, and I'm trying to put myself in your position where I'm getting smoked with dust. So I guess there's really no easy fix, this is what I'm hearing, right? I mean, because we do typically mag waters and just once a year, it's kind of contingent, we can do it. So I think what she's saying, and I think that this is the first easy fix, is instead of mag watering it in June, is there a way to make that earlier next year, to schedule that earlier, now that we have all the gravel on there? Is that an outfit? Like I said, with the rain and all those things, I mean, because
Weather is an issue. I
what
get
you
it.
don't want to do is you don't
have
want to spend
like 3 days.
$10,000 putting mag water down, and all of a sudden you get smoked with a bunch of
Oh, no,
rain in
I've seen
April.
that happen where
Yeah.
they put it down and then it all went down the ditch and down the culvert
Yeah.
one year. I saw
So
that happen.
that's, maybe we paved that road, huh?
No, don't do that. Oh, God,
Can I speak to that?
No, Sandy, you know where my office is, we'll
no.
talk
Not on
up
me,
there.
that
Well,
would
he
literally
said-
be a
no,
racetrack.
He said that
Yep.
the
Yeah.
homeowners don't want to spend their own money, but that's why that road isn't paved, because there isn't enough homeowners to stick with the curb and gutter. That's the issue, and the sidewalk, and the city needs to take a little more responsibility when they're doing these improvements and this infrastructure and all these additions, to charge ahead of it. If you're gonna develop a property, then you get the profit off that development, you make sure it's ready to go. But you aren't gonna stick the new person buying it or the old neighbor next door with the cost. That's our solution.
I don't know. I've been there. It's a wonderful place to live. I love Hartford. And I love the property I'm on. And you developed it and done wonderful. But that road gets used a lot more than you probably think living on it. And truck traffic, the worst ones, is the elevator. They do not. I was gonna go down and to talk to them in the office down there, telling, can you please tell the guy with the fertilizer thing with the tractor wheels that are this high, just slow it down till he gets by the houses. I don't care what the hell he does after that. Go 40 mile an hour if you want.
Do you think you could set up a speed zone there to drop it down?
I think anything would help, but it's 20 now. I
No
don't
one
even
listens
think
to that
that
speed
if you
limit
put
there.
it to 15, I don't think anybody would pay attention to it seriously. Even if you drop it right at the school bus barn there, I don't think they'd pay attention, especially not the elevator, the crew.
Well, Bev, I'd tell you this, we'll get the mag water down, we'll keep it, Craig, I know Craig's keeping an eye on it. We had this conversation last week, so we're talking
And I know
about
it
it. It's not
takes
like we're
time.
ignoring
I
everybody.
understand, it takes time. But if you've developed that area, you need to take care of that road. It used to be the most southern edge. I was on the edge of Hartford when I moved. Not anymore. That road is literally going through town.
Yep.
I have to tell you that not only do I appreciate all your facts, the fact that you come here with a complaint and you came with a solution of what you believe. Because a lot of people come everywhere you go with complaints and there's no solution.
Well, I was trying to
And I
think-
do appreciate
The
that.
cost thing, I understand it costs a lot. But why do all the rest of that road?
It's for stabilization.
It's, I live 75 feet off the center of that, and so do those other people, all along there, 75 feet from that road. When we built our houses there, we didn't anticipate they were gonna put it all the way through. It wasn't then, so now we've expanded, so take better care of that road, because everybody's using it. All the residents in town use it to go to the tree dump, the dog park, to go, everything. Anyway, I'll
All right.
let you do your thing.
No.
Thank you.
Enough, thank you, Bev.
Yes, thank you.
See, on that note, we just need some current car counts. The report I'm looking at in our file is 2 years old. So I think traffic counts in general across, around the community would be.
And I would suspect with all of the construction, that's just getting,
It was a bad year.
We've
Yeah.
got budget coming up in 2 months.
Yeah.
3 months, so.
yeah. All right. Let's move on. Applications, agreements, hearings, resolutions, ordinance. First up, we have a special event application for downtown Hartford for June 19th. Caitlin is here.
Yes, so it should all be laid out there. We're looking to see if we can close the street that Thursday night. We're gonna be doing live music in front of the brewery, and looking to close it down so that we can have an open container for all 3 of the businesses that function downtown. So we dug out the brewery and South Bar can all participate in that event.
Time.
Not a street dance.
Not a street dance, no.
Just music and
I
fun.
guess, not gonna say people might not.
I was gonna say, is there
But that,
dancing
I can't make
band
them
for
not
that?
laugh. No, that is not the intention,
It's not being promoted as such.
No, it is not being promoted as a
Right,
street
right.
dance. No.
Yeah, got it.
So, no, we're just having Todd Gazilli come out to do live music, so.
All right.
And you're not closing down that half street at first?
No, just the stretch on Main. Should be fine. Yeah,
Talking from the other side of South Bar past the dugout.
correct, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't need to go down first in the other direction. We shouldn't need that much space, so.
All right.
Make a motion to approve the special event application from downtown Hartford Inc. on June 19th.
All right.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Just a clarification, the city guys will help us, will assist with the closure as they normally do, is that gonna be a problem?
Yeah, not a problem.
City crew?
We'll end up blocking it all the way down to the end of 2 Street, because if you leave that half block open, people try to get down there and turn and
Yep.
park, and they can't get back on.
No, that, yeah, if that's more logistical, that's totally fine. Yeah.
I've got a point to that. So, the last farmer's market, which was great, I kind of showed up to work late a little bit that morning, maybe around 8 or 8:30. Barricades were just getting moved. And so, is there a way when we do these events downtown that they're not, because like essentially if we do an event downtown, that road is essentially blocked through that entire night and part of that morning. So I have guys trying to get to work, sometimes at 6 or 7 in the morning. You know, I've got 2 buildings downtown. And then they have to, park somewhere else or something. And so we've got this road that's blocked, not just from, 5 to 8.
They were pulling them off when their event was over. That's why we don't fill the tanks full.
Oh,
so we can
okay.
Physically slide them.
Okay. So I can drive through the barricades and not get ticketed. I drove through.
Well, it depends. After tonight, maybe you will get tickets. And there we have that.
Well,
All right.
I'll
did we-
take it. I'll pay for it. It's a business expense, right? I'm going to work.
We had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Schilling.
Yes.
Keel.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Bowen.
Yes.
Mattson. All right, you want to stay right up there and do your second one?
Might as well. So the one for the 21st, I guess it'll essentially be the exact same street closure, but different event. We're looking to, essentially, we put 11 o'clock, but more or less whenever the parade ends, if that happens to be after 11 o'clock, just keep that section of the street closed. Our senior center is going to be doing a fundraiser for themselves, doing walking tacos out of the senior center until 1, and then we, as DHI, are going to follow that up with doing bingo in the street. So we're gonna host a bingo event downtown for a couple hours as well.
Awesome.
Motion to approve the special event application for June 21st as presented.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson.
Yes.
Bowen.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Keel.
Yes.
Schilling.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you,
Thank
Caitlin.
you.
Next up, special event application, Hartford Area Chamber of Commerce, and our first chance to have Miss Jill at the podium. How are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Good to have you here.
Thank you, it's good to be here. Yes, this one is for the block party.
All right, and it is July
July 16th.
3 to 10.
Holy smokes, that's a,
Well, the
where am I gonna park at? Holy smokes.
Oh, my.
Sean, when you gotta walk to work, they call those
You can
uptown
ride your bike to
crowds.
work.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah. Ride your bike.
Then you and I might have to talk. I might have to rent some parking spaces from you on the backside there.
Take your golf cart.
Oh, and,
Oh, the residents that access to the alley to their parking as well.
oh,
Yeah.
So this needs to be amended, the street closure is why I'm here to speak on behalf of that. For the block party.
So it
The
does
west side
not,
of Main between Oaks and Main, from block first and second.
If you block off the alleys, you got Golden West, that's not gonna get to their. their-
Yeah, I get it.
Golden West's on the other side, they'll have
I miss
motor
it.
vehicles that get parked at nights.
yeah, so I'm looking at this, Jill,
Yes.
and it's not a secret that we're okay with blocking off streets. When I look at this, though, it's an H.
I
It's a
think-
big block. So
right.
what's the reason for the big block off?
So I think when Stacy submitted it, I think she blocked off more than she intended to, but the goal was to block off, near Creekside and then also on this end of the street, to just block off a little more because we have quite a few like large vehicles coming in. The fire and rescue is coming with their truck. We have the Army coming with a Humvee, and we just want to make sure, especially with fire and rescue, that they're able to get out very quickly if they need to. And I believe Sioux Valley may be bringing one of their boom trucks as well, and we have a race car coming. So we're just trying to make sure, if it needs to be adjusted a little bit, just that we have the room at the end of the street so that our vendors can be in the street itself, and we kind of can disperse some of those larger vehicles.
I would agree with Ben. Can we cut it off at the, right
At the
before the alley on both
Yeah.
sides?
For sure.
Yep.
But it could be extended potentially down
extended south.
further south on Main.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Or further
Instead-
south.
go on
Yeah,
south, yeah.
instead of north.
Yeah,
Right.
you could go south to Menth.
Yeah, you could go south down to Menth, but cut it off at the, don't block the alleys on.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't know that we want to block Second Street. Are you okay with that? They actually have Second Street closed, so there's our main east-west corridor through town, right?
Usually it's from the corner of Main and Second down.
South.
Usually it's south of Second.
That's where she's
Yeah.
saying they wanted some of those larger vehicles on the ends there.
But if you'd open up down by the south bar, you could put the fire truck down there.
Correct.
Facing out, heading to the south right away towards the station. You'd probably still have plenty of room to get stuff in there. Second Street's kind of an iffy one if you want to go.
Right.
That would be a first. I can't ever remember closing
I
Second.
know we
Last
closed
year,
the-
Second Street,
they-
but it was just from alley to alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was for
They
the
had-
block party, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
From
the-
alley to alley.
Okay.
Is
It was
that
just
where it
alley
was?
to alley last year.
On Second Street?
And the year
Yep.
before.
Yeah.
On Second Street.
Well, I think even if you needed it, you could block it in front of the city shop there on Menth too, if you had to, right? But I don't know if you're gonna need that much room or not. So-
That's pretty much where you get to is when we block it off.
Yeah,
Right down to
The
the end.
elevator, so the elevator is.
Yeah, but then the
Yeah, I meant
problem
if you
is
go
that
half
you
a
have,
block to the west.
you have all that traffic rerouted through Maine, so.
I think we have time with this one to, can we get that finalized, get that firmed up, what we can get, so we have what we're actually gonna have in front of us and just deal with this at our next meeting.
Yeah, can we do that? Yeah, because we got a month even, our second meeting's the 17th, so we got time. Let's get this firmed up and get this map straightened up so everybody knows what we're doing.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right? Do we need to vote on the table then, or to move it, or just have them put it on the next?
We either table it or you can take no action on it.
Okay.
No action, and we'll just put it on the next agenda.
Agenda, okay? Let's do that. All right, next up, I
Is there
see, you
someone, who should she work with to?
want to talk?
No, yeah, we were.
Talk to Craig.
I said I'd work with them.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, I see my swimming instructor Linda showed up, so the next one is the special event application for Hartford Area Fire and Rescue.
I showed up this morning, you did not.
I did not, because you know what, it was raining, it was 51 degrees, and I'm old and I don't get out.
Fragile.
Just telling you, I'm fragile, that's the key word.
Okay.
In more ways than just my body, how's that? All right, Linda has an application in here for the Hartford Area Fire and Rescue Public Safety Day to be held on August 23rd. The application's in here, and you guys, we shut off the street down there in front of the fire station.
Correct, from the west end of Kingsbury,
Okay,
so that they can still get through on Kingsbury if they need to, but all the way then to Western Avenue.
yep. And
So-
that doesn't block off Creekside, does it? No.
It does not.
Yep, gotcha.
So, Public Safety Day, our 7th annual, last year we had about 600 people attend, and this year we're planning for even more. It's a great day for families, kids, fragile senior citizens. We have a lot of.
Man, I opened that can of worms, didn't I?
You did. So it's a great opportunity for people to come out. We have many different exhibitors who deal in safety, health, injury prevention, and we have even more of them targeting senior citizens this year, Arden. So you will feel very comfortable if you come. Wow. Yeah. And we do serve some lunch. Vera's going to land their helicopter. We just look forward to having a great day. And like I said, we'd appreciate if y'all come out and take a look and see what we do.
Motion to approve the special event application for the Hartford Area Fire and Rescue Public Safety Day as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Mattson, not Mattson. Schilling. You already voted once. Schilling.
Yes.
She's new. I gotta get that one in my brain.
I
yeah.
was worried you were here to complain about the water temperature of the pool.
Throw that in while we're here.
Well, actually,
Craig.
this morning, it was better than yesterday morning, and warm water was coming in, so.
Okay.
Yeah, yesterday was a little brisk, but
Brisk.
that's our term. We call it brisk and refreshing.
Refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we will count on seeing the mayor there tomorrow.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Excellent.
If the water's warm and the sun's out, I'll be there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for everything. All right, next up, we have Resolution 2025-4, creation of TIF District Number 2. And we are amending this TIF. Teresa, you want to give just a little quick rundown here?
Well, we're not really amending the TIF, we haven't approved
Oh,
it yet.
the district, excuse me, amending the district, sorry.
Yeah, as you recall, at our last meeting, the Windsor Group came and asked you to consider passing a TIF district, creating a TIF district for their development. At that time, they were including just the parcels of land they own. If you remember the map, or if you look in your packet, Second Street does flow right between their parcels. Since that time, we've had some discussions with the Windsor Group. The mayor and I sat down with Tom and kind of talked with the developer and their TIF writer, asking if it's a possibility to add Second Street into the district. And essentially, what we talked about is that would become part of the district, so that developer would do improvements to Second Street, pave, curb and gutter, put utilities, just like they do the streets in their development. The cost of that would not be assessed to anybody, but since it's part of the district, it would be paid with those tax increments in the district. Their original proposal, and it still stays the same, is 20-year TIF. So they realize that they've got to, sell land and get development going in order to get those tax increments to pay it. Developer still holds the TIF, that's proposal, they're still responsible for those payments. They don't seem to have any concerns with adding that extra funding to do that street. Actually thought with them doing it, they could probably get the street put in, a little cheaper, because don't have to bid it, like the city would have to do and take a little bit. So it saves a little bit in the process of it, so could definitely see some cost savings there. So in the long run, the street's got to be built to our standards, but in the long run, it may not be as costly as what it would be if the city would have to go and do it. Plus, it gets paid for in time with the tax increments of the district. So if we ever decide to do improvements to it, the city doesn't have to upfront that whole cost, one shot, and figure out how to fund it. So it's kind of a win-win. Obviously, they see the benefit of, having a paved street is going to help their development and help sell their lots. So we get a paved street, and then, like I said, those tax increments, they'll pay for that if it's part of the district.
Correct.
So that's basically what the discussion was. So we're not improving the TIF. There's still things that need to be worked out as far as the developer agreement, how this is all going to work. But they're still coming for just improving the district, so the outline of the district. And the difference between last time is that we've added Second Street into that TIF district.
It's too bad we can't have railroad.
Yeah, too bad we can't. Yeah, exactly. Let's see.
This is very minimal.
Additional use. Additional, you do this.
This is very minimal. Why are we including that lot?
That's a great question.
On the north, just on the north side of
I have the
Second
same
Street
question.
So,
there?
yeah.
Well,
explain that.
because the improvement of Second Street is not the full length. It's gonna have curb and gutter and street improvements. We wanna make sure we're including all adjoining lots, because it's a section line, so they technically may own to the center of the road.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it
so
doesn't
that's why
affect them in
we've
any
got a-
fashion,
right.
other than they don't have to pay for the improvements. so.
Yeah.
Just housekeeping.
He's included in the district, he doesn't have to pay it, it's still paid by the developer.
I
But
have talked with that gentleman.
He was
yes, like I said,
perfectly fine
He's all
with it.
for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the dust with the gravel road either. He would love it for the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, Teresa already had a conversation.
Yep, I had a conversation. I also talked with the township, because technically, if the county's on one side, where it's that little section, that 200 feet is township road versus, later on, we're on both sides, and it's our, talked with Matt Anderson with the township. He didn't see where there'd be problems with it, as long as the city takes over the maintenance and care of it, which we're already in an agreement to do that all the way to the first mile road. But, this isn't a gravel road, it's,
Gotcha.
we do that with Second Street on the other side of the Colton Road, on the west side, so obviously it's gonna become a city street, we're gonna maintain and take care of it, so I said that shouldn't be any issue. They actually have their meeting tonight, he said, well, I'll just run it by my board just in case, but he didn't see where it would be a problem. I don't know why it would be, because they're off the hook for that stretch of any kind of maintaining or future maintenance of it.
Yep.
No, thank you. I just was curious on that one. That was more housekeeping.
And again, as we say, this is just creating the district, but the district change is to include that road is included.
Can I bring something up here?
All the time.
We've been talking a lot about TIFs the last couple months, and I always hear the pros. I always hear, here's what this does. And whether it's this TIF or any other ones we're looking at in the future or some of those things, what are the cons? I mean, I think I know those cons, but it's always good to hear, this is these, whether it's, like I said, this TIF or any other ones, like when I first got onto council, I think that was the time the city did the first TIF with Maple Pass.
Yep.
And that's the only one that we've officially, to my knowledge, have approved.
I would say that's not true. We've talked about the tax implications of creating a TIF district.
And maybe we have, but,
And that's the thing with the city. You are foregoing being able to utilize those tax dollars other places, because those tax dollars are going to pay for that. Yeah,
Right.
we're not getting
That's
those
it.
real estate tax dollars. I mean, they're going to pay for the loan of the TIF, so we are losing some revenue. Not
And the school
losing, but
district
it's,
has
but we're
addressed
getting
how it affects
improvements.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It delays getting the revenue.
It delayed, yeah, I mean, once TIF's paid off, we get it, but on the flip side too, we're getting improvements too, and we're getting a development, new houses, new commercial property, so it's,
And the last time we talked to
Right,
Dr.
exactly.
Knight, he was still in
Yeah.
favor of it.
because they still get some of their,
Yeah, they still get made right. The schools still get, to a certain degree,
In the general fund.
general fund, they get made right.
It's in the capital outlay that they
oh,
don't get fully funded until
But
the TIF's paid off.
Good question.
So but the con, I would say, Sean, you gotta really look at it with both the pro and con. In this case, by including Second Street in, the city gets the road built without technically, is it costing us money? Sure, we're not getting the tax money, but we don't have to go pay for the road. So how do you,
what was the
how do you
engineer's
balance that?
cost on that road? Did we run an analysis?
Yeah, we have an
Six.
estimate,
Right below $1 million.
yeah.
Below a mill?
Right at.
Okay, gotcha.
The city inherits a developed road like we do for every other development.
Development. And the other big pro in that development, Windsor Group, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, is there's some good chances for some commercial property, and that's, the long-term gain for the city is to generate sales tax dollars in some way, shape, or form. So,
And no, I like this, I like the project.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at voting on a 20-year commitment, so, and we've just been having a lot of TIF talk. We should do a podcast on it, a TIF talk podcast.
I bet there is one.
Maybe there is. And so I'm gonna kind of just bring a different angle to this, and just so I can process this. So I had a train of thought there, and it may or may not come back to me. So the only, once again, and I think, like I said, Jeff, you're just the first one, you're the one here tonight to talk about this, whether it's you or anyone else sitting, is that this is my only concern, council. One of my only concerns is, I don't want to be known as a city that we are super easy, just, hey, do you want to come and develop here? Hey, we're doing TIFs. Hey, you're gonna do an economic development, you have a commercial anchor tenant? Because every TIF talk we've had in the last 3 months, right, it's an economic development TIF.
Right.
So I know this, if I'm a developer, I might say, you know what, shit, all I have to tell them is that I've got a commercial tenant, which I may or may not, and I will get a TIF. And
Look at
so-
But the
look
district.
at the next
Creating a
item on the
district doesn't
agenda.
really put you on the hook for anything.
Correct.
It's really a goodwill gesture. The actual TIF is a whole nother animal. Just acknowledging that this is an opportunity, a possibility, is really all we're doing. And if they're going to bait us with a potential new tenant, it doesn't come to fruition until the actual TIF.
Developer agreement is all put in place.
And all of
that
those
stuff is put in
stipulations
place.
can be put into that.
And Sean, the next item on our agenda is to review we're setting up criteria for the exact thing you just said. We don't want to be looked at that we're easy and everybody can come.
Right.
Yeah, we want to be developer friendly as we can possibly
But
be.
we also, yes.
But we got to be smart and prudent about it, so.
So
yeah.
right now, and I've probably been on these, but if you know anything about TIFs, these are not easy things to understand. I've read in all these things, but right now with this district, we're not saying, hey, yep, the TIF's 100%. We're saying, hey, we're creating a TIF district,
yeah.
and then there's another step to where the
Or
developer.
2, or 3.
They still gotta come back with their plan, which we've seen a snapshot of it, but it's gotta be honed in. It's gotta come, plans gotta come to the P&Z board for approval, which ultimately then it's gotta come to you guys for approval. Plus then we have a developer agreement that we've gotta basically approve, you guys gotta approve, it says they're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. I mean, all these details need to be worked out and approved. They have to get certification from the state. I mean, there are several steps in a TIF before it becomes final.
Okay, one more.
And it all needs approval.
Certainly things where there's commercial development are more attractive.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it helps make
So-
up for the lost real estate.
So with these, so at that stage in the process, well, whether any developer, what happens if they don't follow through? And this, I'm just talking generally, what happens if they don't follow through, then what's the repercussions? And maybe this is a question for you, Tom. Are there any repercussions if a potential developer is not able to follow through on what they promised? Like I said, this is just general.
They're holding the loan.
Yeah, I mean, they're obligated.
They're on the hook for the payments.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal.
Which is why that helps them, I mean, that also,
Just a small.
they need to keep progressing.
And I'll probably ask these same questions in 2 months when we have another one, just so everybody knows.
I mean,
Okay.
it's important, the city's not on the hook for any of the costs. So it all falls on the developer, they borrow the money, it's just the city's a conduit to
get it
return
repaid.
those tax dollars to the
Yeah.
developer to repay the debt.
And to paraphrase what Jeff said last time, developing in Hartford isn't easy because we have high standards. Our road standards are better than other communities. There are other things that we're doing
Better.
to
Yes.
set us apart from other communities. You know, we're not lowering the bar by
No.
creating a TIF district.
Right.
Yeah.
That's we're actually increasing opportunity.
But we've had this, Jeff understands that. We had this conversation. He had his chance to already say that to us once, so he'll probably say it to us again.
I will remind you.
Yeah, I know. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-4 for TIF District Number 2 as amended.
I'll second.
any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Schilling.
Yes.
Keel.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Bowen.
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll get her going forward, right? 3 steps forward,
Grind.
half one in
I
reverse.
miss seeing all the equipment out there, though, I will say that.
Where are other places? You guys got something else going on in town.
Yeah. Good.
Kind of a mess.
All right, next up on the agenda is policy 2025-1. This is our tax increment financing guidelines that Teresa and Tom have been working on.
Yeah, so, to your point, we want to make sure going forward, because now we've had a couple come before us, and I think getting some criteria, some standards in place of what we want to look at or what we want to require for TIFs will make it easier for the P&Z board, easier for you guys to, on the front end, look and see, does this qualify, is this something that we want, or does it not qualify? So kind of helps kind of weed out the ones that aren't, you know, going to be a good fit for the city, and the ones that we do want to move forward with and take a look at. This policy, this first time you guys are seeing it, does not need to be passed tonight, but it's open for discussion. It did go to P&Z at their last meeting. They approved it as presented. The only change, with one change, you'll notice on page 4, there are some fees involved with the TIF. Basically, there's a $5,000 application fee. I originally presented $2,500, they upped it to $5,000. That takes care of basically all the work on the front side, meeting with the attorney and the mayor and the staff, reviewing the TIF, make sure it meets our qualifications. If the TIF doesn't pass, they get half of that returned. If the TIF does go through, everything's good, then there's an ongoing annual $5,000 fee, and that's for the administrative services of the city, getting those tax dollars, passing it through, paying the bank, you know, those fees that we will have ongoing every year. That too, I had said at 25, but they raised it to 5,000. Really, like I put in my report, I looked at there are more and more cities are getting hit by TIFs. Everybody's looking at it as a conduit to help development, rightly so. I really took this kind of guidelines from Lennox and Brookings and Mitchell's, kind of sent me a good set of them. I kind of did a collaboration of all, looked to see what I thought would be applicable to Hartford and what wouldn't be. So that is what I presented. The fee amounts, They're all over the board. That 2,500, Sioux Falls required that, but the highest one is Brookings requires a $10,000 fee, so that might be a little too high up there. So it can be anywhere where we feel comfortable in this. The biggest thing, probably the thing to look at when I put in my report is section 3, the criteria. Those would be kind of our checklist of, okay, have they come to us before the TIF has started development? To me, I think we should look at these on the front side versus the back side of them. I think also TIFs are intended for, this is needed to make the development go forward. It isn't just a financing mechanism for somebody who maybe could afford to do it without a TIF. TIFs are designed as they should be, this is what's needed to make this development move forward. And if they don't get a TIF, maybe they can't move forward. That's been the requirement with all these other cities. They have that criteria in there as well. There's a few, obviously we refer to codified law. They've got to meet all the standards of codified law in there. We want them to waive our discretionary formula, and basically that means that currently we have a discretionary formula. If you do a development or a commercial property, you get assessed at 0% the first year, 25 the next year, 50. Well, we don't want to give a break on assessment because we want to recover as much tax dollars as we can to get the TIF paid off faster. So waiving the discretionary formula. One thing that the other cities had, number 7, is on residential housing, and I think Tom has brought this up a couple times, but this says that they require that if it's a residential development, you have to do affordable housing if you do a residential. If it's a residential TIF, that half of the lot sales go towards paying the TIF. So not only the tax increment, but some of the lot sales go to it and pay it off faster. That may or may not be one thing we want to consider. Tom brought it up. All the other cities, like I said, the 3 cities I looked at that had this criteria, all had that in it. So it is definitely a way to pay off the TIF faster, regain that portion of that lot sales got to come to the city.
It could be on an economic development TIF because there could be residential housing as part of that if it's a bigger district.
Right.
So it wouldn't only be the affordable housing, but the economic development TIF would qualify if there's a commercial component.
Yeah, and this does say if there's a residential component.
Right.
So it could be if there's any kind of residential sales.
Well, this is great, there's a lot to chew on here.
It is, and that's why I said from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm
This
gonna
is
make a
something
motion
to
to
start
table this
talking
till our
about.
next meeting. We really just recently got this, there's a lot of questions.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things to process, fees and how it affects development. So I make a motion to table this until our next meeting.
Second.
There's no discussion when we table, so we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
Schilling? I just want to say.
It's not like we spend every Wednesday night at trivia. It's not like you don't know me.
Bang.
What do you call her there? Not showing.
He doesn't.
Jeff, did you look at that guideline at all? I'd be curious as a developer.
I have not
Okay,
seen
just,
a
just
lot
was
of
curious.
what's
Yeah.
just hoped to for the
Yep.
first time
All right.
in 5 years.
All good, so just was curious.
It's on the website.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's move on to reports. First up is Deputy Rechtenbaugh. How are you tonight, Jonah?
Good, how are you guys tonight?
Wonderful.
So this month, we had an increase in calls. We had 341, which was an increase of 119, average 11.37 per day. We had 4 DWIs, which was an increase of 4, 20 suspicious person or activities, which was an increase of 11, 74 traffic stops, 73 of those were semi-trucks. Just kidding.
I like it. Good job. Wow.
We had 2 narcotics calls, 11 intoxicated persons or liquor law violations. Most of those were liquor law violations. And then we had 47 civil processes, 7 arrests, 27 case reports, and 9 citations.
So what falls under suspicious person activity? What do you,
So a lot of times, like the night shift guys will see a vehicle at Coffee Cup
Okay.
that's just out of place.
Yep,
Stop out
okay.
with it. and-
okay. That's what I figured, but I just,
Or someone who may or may not be camping in their car at the dog park.
No.
Was that Sean? He gets a lot of tickets sometimes, so I want to be sure of it.
And then there were some storage units that got vandalized. There, a bunch of them just had locks cutting off. I think, as far as I know, only one of them actually gotten broken into and something stolen out of. So if you got storage units and haven't checked those in a while, just give those a check if you did notice something. Give us a call. We always encourage getting cameras if you're able to, because video is damning. Just solved a hit and run that happened over the weekend yesterday at the Sunshine. It was a video there,
so I was down there the other day and Jonah was here and we talked just briefly about this scooter deal and Bev brought it up again. Man,
I did some research on it.
okay,
So, as far as their electric scooters, they gotta be driven on the sidewalks. And as far as the city ordinance, they don't specifically mention anything about electric scooters, so.
what do we say on our bike path though? Is it electric? Can we?
No, nothing motorized.
So is that electric bike?
That's a
That's
motor.
It's got a motor. I say whether it's electric or gas, it's a
So
motor.
those scooters are technically have a motor, right?
So, in the state side, motor has pistons and whatnot, so like the difference between a moped and a motorcycle is a motorcycle, they both have motors obviously, but a motorcycle has, most of them I believe have manual transmissions rather than automatic.
Okay,
So they have a clutch system which makes them a motorcycle.
okay.
So that's why.
How
that's the main
fast do
difference
those
between-
scooters go?
About 20, I know my neighbor kid got one, he goes up to 19 or 20.
How fast does a golf cart go?
20.
And we have licensed golf carts, and there's regulations as far as who can drive a golf cart, but we can put
But
a
those are being driven
child.
on the road. That's the big caveat there.
But the problem, Jonah, these kids are riding these
They're all over
scooters
the
right
road. They're
dead
all
down
over
the
the
center of the road.
And that's what I was thinking more about your scenario that you mentioned last month when your wife was backing up. and
Right
almost hit
behind
one.
us on, yep,
When I thought about it more, I was like, if we got dispatched to an accident where that happened, if it's within the right of way of the road, you're, like, the person that hits the kid is more than likely gonna get cited for it.
I know it. Isn't that crazy?
I have kids on that, and there's,
Every day. I stand out here and look like we go right through first, the
Yeah.
second stop sign right
Ugh.
I've been talking to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of this, you know, gets down to parents teaching their kids, and how else, I mean, I teach my kids to not go on the road. Don't go on the road and chase a soccer ball. A lot of this problem is solved is parents educating their kids, because we can't having our deputy pull over kids on scooters all day. That's not a, you know.
Well, I think part of that, though, we need to piggyback on, it's just a PSA, just a public service announcement.
Right.
Say, you know, whether it's an email, a Facebook post, all the
It's in our
above.
newsletter.
Newsletter, all that.
I wonder,
I think it needs to be
Or added in the
addressed.
public safety day?
yeah, I was
Public
gonna
safety
say
day.
that
Yeah, we talked
Maybe
about
even
that.
as
we
a-
could do it down at the fire department, that'd be good, but I think you should do it, try to do it down at the chamber at the block party, just have that set up. Either have the deputies
Yeah.
come or have, you know, just have some presence and talk,
Yeah.
because it is just, man. And maybe it's because they love going down Mickelson, because they can go downhill and they're flying down there.
Oh,
past
They're
my
everywhere.
place.
It's fun.
Hey, Wes.
Yeah,
Eye protection, and does that apply in this case? Eye protection and goggles, or helmet?
if they're driving on the road, yeah.
But those
What
scooters,
What I've been doing with the kids that I see driving on the road is I'll pull up beside them, give them the finger to come over. Not that finger.
Hey, Wes.
Just tell them to keep it on the sidewalk. unless they got a driver's license.
Yeah.
Which is hard too, because the sidewalks, they stop. There isn't sidewalks for them to be on.
From what I'm hearing, they're used to getting the bad fingers.
Well, Well, I'm sure there's within reason too. I mean, if you see somebody that's going around a lot that doesn't have a sidewalk and you can buzz back to the sidewalk, I would think that's not as much of an issue, I guess, but.
So far, knock on wood, I drive around a lot during my shift, and so far, I haven't seen any like close calls. And if I do, like, obviously, I'm gonna address that and try and make it a learning lesson for the kid, especially if he's not even, he or she, not even looking across the road or looking both ways across the road.
Unless we want to continue that, a real quick increase of 119, is that just because it's getting nicer outside, more things going on?
We're having a lot more activity through town, and a lot more people on nights, warmer, stopping a lot more vehicles, trying to get
So not
people that are intoxicated.
more seasonal than it is?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And now kids are out of school, so I'm sure it'll be.
It'll be more.
This scooter conversation is real similar to the horseless carriage conversation.
Way back.
I'm sure people had.
100
When Art was a kid.
When I was a
We should move on.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else got any questions or comments for Jonah?
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jonah.
Have a good night. Thanks for staying so late.
All right, as we always say, most exciting part of the evening, city engineer report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. General engineering update, continue to review site plans and plats, as well as construction observations of developments as those come up, such as the Oakley Street paving. They were paving yesterday and today. We'll do the final lift later this week ahead of Quick starting their development later this year. Quick update on the slurry seal. Had that pre-construction meeting last week. Slurry seal is anticipated mid-July. Craig has provided the revised streets for a previous meeting district under the budgeted amount. So we're working on those plans, getting those revised, and then get it off to the contractor ahead of the mid-July slurry seal. Moving on to the project updates, the water resource recovery facility. Barrel testing of the Aeromod is completed and passed, and that's essentially just leakage testing of the tank to ensure that once it's full of moist water, there won't be any leaks into the groundwater. Plant startup generally is going really well and progressing very smoothly. In the coming weeks, wastewater is anticipated to be run through the system for a full test. And then continually installing mechanical equipment and process piping as necessary for the remaining fixtures. Moving on to Western Avenue, roadway shaping is slated to occur later this week. The rain we've had is delayed slightly, but the contractor is still confident that we will have that phased shift around the 4th of July, with paving starting next week, assuming all goes well with grading and the weather. Moving on to Swenson Park, 60% plans were reviewed with city staff two weeks ago now, and were provided for your review. I believe they were put in your box. And we do anticipate to have those plans finalized with final review for you at the next council meeting. We're requesting authorization bid and then scheduled as noted there with the July 10th bid lighting and August construction. And then one last update, not on the report, but just on the water model. We are moving that along, working with A2S as noted to work on an internal kickoff and get that project moving. So, happy to answer any questions on the report, if there are any. Otherwise, there are a couple action items on the agenda for you.
All right. I think it's exciting because you guys have QR codes and hyperlinks. I mean, it's a really interactive part of the night.
Glad to hear it.
I'm glad you found value in that, Travis. We'll send over to our project websites for the additional updates and a little bit of pictures. I think that's where we can spruce it up next time. Get some pictures.
I would say you're spot on there. Let's improve that.
So just trying to kind of drive your phone usage there. Kelly Avenue drainage study would be another update for you all.
Yeah.
So we did send letters out to residents. We have some good feedback from some of those taking some of the pictures with recent rain. It's been helpful. We're in the process of creating our model right now. So our existing condition model is in progress right now. So we anticipate that's going to take a little while to get pulled together, get calibrated. Once we have that, that's a good stopping spot. Review with city staff, pull in some of those residents just based on that feedback, and then we'll develop our proposed solutions, cost estimates, and then present that final aspect to you guys. So.
What are you laughing about, Scott?
I have permission to protest. Apparently I'm more deaf than I used to be when I sat up there, because I didn't hear a damn word you just said. Did you guys hear me?
He's laughing.
And you talk really fast, guys. Holy cow. No, I just, I heard Kelly Avenue, and that's all I heard. You know,
He's in a Peanuts cartoon.
Yeah, it was like, okay. The TOP survey took place.
Topo survey is complete, so that's how we're pretty much phase one to create that existing condition model. And we're working on that existing condition model right now. So that's all the drainage patterns in the model, storm sewer, whatever that may be, to really get a good understanding of that existing. We're going to calibrate that with some of the events that we know, some of the pictures, some of the data that we're receiving from the property owners as well. So that phase will go through, I'm going to call it late summer, probably July timeframe.
Okay.
Once we have that, re-engage with the city, some of the property owners, make sure we have a good firm understanding of what's going on existing, not only in the model, but what's happening in real life, and then we'll move forward with proposed solutions.
Okay, gotcha. And so, if I may,
Yep.
Mr. Mayor.
I'll give you a couple minutes.
You don't know.
No, I know, you can't even say hi in 2 minutes.
You're right. So, very good, and I appreciate that, and you're right. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone on Kelly, because I live on Kelly. And that is that we all know that the clay pipes that we have there and so on and so forth need to be, addressed. And you got to take it down, down to the guts. You got to get it taken care of. And you're not going to have, I don't think you're going to have any problem with that. As far as the game plan moving forward, if I understood you correctly, late August is when we'll have those meetings and kind of assess the situation from there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we want to try to time it up with city budgeting, right? So if we're looking at capital improvements for the next year, have a good understanding of what that project is, what the anticipated cost is, to help inform some of those decisions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
Because Scott, that's a big deal.
Well, it was 25. No, as I say, I was number 25 15 years ago, and
on the CIP.
Yeah.
And it's moved up a ways.
And it needs to be done. And I just trying to get that understood and.
But we got to be very aware when we do this of what, that's going to be a lot of cost. For what did we say there is, 16 or 20, what do you guys told me, 16 or 23 homeowners on there? I mean.
It can only be whatever our assessment is.
Right, and we can only
It can't be more no matter what we spend.
Right.
I thought maybe you're here to tell us you pulled a petition to get the street improved and you were going to present it to us.
No, who told me that?
I think-
Who told you that?
I figured that's why you were here, Scott.
No,
Give us the good news.
I'm prepping, man.
To give us the good news, you had been proactive in this. You had talked to all of your neighbors at the block party, and when they had been fully imbibed, you got them to sign the petition.
No, I haven't got that far because it took me a month and a half to get all the legal descriptions down, for God's sake. I have to have that before you recognize it.
All right.
I think our biggest fear was that we just do what we normally do and then there's still water problems.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why.
No, the water problem is a huge issue.
Right.
But we want to actually fix it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, if I'm speaking out of turn, I apologize, but I cannot speak for my neighbors down the road, but I can pretty much say that they all understand that, because they see just 2 weeks ago, they were gutting it again, and so that part is a moot point, and I do have one other final question for the council. I should be at the pedestal. If Zimmer was sitting there, he'd make you stand, he'd make me stand.
Gavel it down, man. Gavel it down.
You can't speak unless you sit right here.
I'm a pretty nice mayor.
You're okay. I still owe you a beer, by the way. Are we planning sidewalks? Are we planning sidewalks on Kelly?
Yeah, if we do this project to the end, it's gonna have sidewalks.
Okay, so, and one thing that I will say in regards to that, and I understand, is that, Tom, in consideration of damages, I ask that you take that into consideration. And so, I'm not gonna go any farther than that now, but that is something, as a DOT employee, that I live with every day, and there will be damages if you put in a sidewalk. So I'm just saying, as a former city councilman and a resident of Hartford and Kelly Avenue, that you take that into consideration, because there will be damages from stem to stern on both sides of the street. And then that's all I ask, is that you put that in the budget, in the mindset that there will be something there.
Marty and I have both been on the receiving end of said damages when sidewalks.
Yeah, you really? Okay, well, very good, okay.
Hey, we gotta
Did
put
you get
sidewalks.
compensated?
No.
No. No.
We gotta put sidewalks in because.
Damages, trees,
If we gotta take out a tree, if we gotta do this or that,
Yeah.
or the other
Well,
thing.
if it's an elm tree, you're gonna pay us to take it out.
Yeah, I would.
No.
But I have an ash tree
Emerald ash.
that I paid Chink, $300, $400 every 2 years to keep alive, you know, so, I'm just as a former, I'm just trying to be proactive, not reactive, and not be one of those mean people that scream at you. That might be something that you would consider.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
All right.
Always good to see you, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Ward 1. Welcome to Ward 1.
I was just gonna say, I had to pull,
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
I had to pull up the ward map to see
yeah.
if you were here for an appointment.
I was on a whim. I was on a whim, like, I suffer, okay, I'll
All right. Michael, you have some action items?
Yes, want to make sure I answered all the questions prior to.
Anybody else got any questions for Michael? See you, Joe.
The first action item is pay application number 20 to Rice Lake for the Water Resource Recovery Facility Project in the amount of $304,864. Installation of internet connectivity throughout the facility, continue to work on the process piping as well as just general contract conditions.
Motion to approve pay request number 20 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Schilling.
Yes.
Keel.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Bowen.
Yes.
Mattson. All right, what's your second one?
Next up, change order 2 to D&G Concrete for the Western Avenue reconstruction project in the amount of $9,012.50. This is for a few items. First is water for granular material. Water is necessary, may be needed to ensure the granular material under the concrete roadway reaches the compaction specified in the plans. Second is removal of the steel casing pipe. I believe we discussed at the last council meeting, but it was discovered that the water main crossing Opal was encased in steel. That was unknown to us in the city. It took a contract about 4 hours to remove that casing to perform the work that they needed to do. So that's one of the second item. And lastly, 6-inch pipe ends. Further up in front of Dairy Queen, there are some utility relocates that occurred there earlier this year. Some of the pedestals and conduits were relocated, making the proposed water main installation difficult. So worked with the contractor, we're going to reroute it around just so that installation goes more smoothly and future maintenance is more accessible for the city.
How did we not know that was steel cased?
Our as-bills back in them days were lucky if they had a stamp of who did it.
Really?
Yeah.
But that was.
We're lucky we knew the
I
right
actually-
that's fairly new.
Yeah, I look, well, Diamond Trail,
Yeah.
we had to, Diamond Trail up there, our as-bills show that it doesn't even have a water main underneath of the highway, under Western, so we actually went up there and revalved the water to find out that it does go underneath of it.
So we have not as-bills.
Correct.
Really?
Why would they have encased that in steel? But, I mean,
I think what happened back then was, that would have been a county road, because they owned both, or they owned one side, so when that got put in, the county made them put that in,
case it's-
and I don't recall it, I mean, getting put in. I was here, but I don't recall that getting put in.
Well, you would,
Yeah,
that's that long ago, you would remember that.
It's similar to what we had to do.
So is that
on
coming right off the intersection at Western and Opal, just going east, or does it go both ways?
It runs under
All the way under Western.
All the way under Western
So
both
the county
ways?
would require them to case it like they did up here on.
Oh, yeah,
Sixth
Opal
Street.
goes through, that's over by the, okay, gotcha.
It might have been on P and Z, and I don't remember that.
Oh, smokes. Yeah, when I read that earlier, I thought that seemed funny.
I guess it was before you were on PNC.
What is it before that? Opal?
This is, God,
That's gotta be a long time ago.
The pipe may have been in, maybe not.
it is
Maybe not.
probably
Yeah, you were around
20
quite a
years
while.
ago, for sure.
Okay,
I don't think
It
it
is
was that
20
far
years.
back, were you?
so this is the first positive change order from this? First increased change
Yes.
order. We had a deduct first, okay.
May, first May meeting, yes.
There was still, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, we did not deduct out that temporary asphalt.
Correct. We are not deducting that as later phases need some temporary asphalt and would hate to change order twice.
So
we're
we
holding that
will
to-
see another change order at some point.
That one will probably wait till the final change order, right? We'll write out the project with a temporary asphalt bid item, but we have pretty good certainty since we changed that phase one. We didn't include that quantity from Mickelson to Opal. There's potentially some other spots on the plan that we did have accounted for, south of Opal, for some temporary asphalt. So we'll still hold that quantity, but we know it won't come close to using it all. So what we typically do at the end of the project is have a final change order that adjusts the project quantities. You guys will see that with the pay request for 12th and Oaks later on in the council agenda.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind that there is that $50,000 savings on that temporary asphalt.
Okay.
There too, so.
All right, action on this change order.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 2 to D&G Concrete Construction Inc. for $9,012.50.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
All right, and your last one is the second pay request for D&G?
Correct. Includes work for the utilities installed, mainly the storm sewer, the boxes, as well as some increase in mobilization just due to DOT rates for the percentage of the project completed. And that amount for this pay request is $563,879.03.
That's it.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 2 to D&G Concrete Construction Inc. for $563,879.03.
Second.
Any more discussion on this one? Hearing none, we'll vote. Shelley?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, what else you got, Michael?
That is all I have for you.
How's our TAP grant coming? I let that go when you were in the,
I'm working with Logan Grant on the state to get that, all the state sides pushed. And then, like I said, we're still trying to get plans and stuff put together. That way we can start construction this fall, so praying for a late fall.
okay. And you know I'm gonna remember that one, right?
Yeah, I know you won't forget it.
Google Earth puts Opal in there between 07 and 2010. So, was it 08 maybe?
It's probably on there.
Just on that as-built perspective too, I know we've been working really hard with Greg with all the type of developments to make sure we're out there doing some of the utility install. I mean, it's ultimately on the developer to provide those as-builts. We just know some of the varied quality that we get in some of those that we've been, stepping up, working in a little addition to that, just to make sure we have the necessary documentation when it comes 10 years down the road for those developments.
Right.
See, and also with Opal, that would have been developer driven, so the city wouldn't have had actual as-built, we would have had to get them from them.
Yeah, because it went in on both east and west side there,
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it wasn't a city project, it was
Right.
developer driven.
Yeah.
2007 to 10,
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Yep. Huh. It's back when you were here, Scott. That's why it's probably, oh, there
There we go.
we go. There we go. All right, thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Scott.
See you, Scott.
Yep, bye, thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Public Works Superintendent Report, Craig Wagner.
Just a couple things besides my report. With the roads and that, I did contact Travis Dressen with DOT last week, or I think it's last week, Friday, about the communication that we're getting from DOT when they do projects in the area. He said they are gonna work on that. They're gonna try to set up like spring meetings with the towns around the areas that have major projects going on, and that way we can be informed of what's gonna happen and when it happens.
Right.
Plus, they're gonna try to keep us on top of things. So actually, last night at 9:52, I got a text from him saying that they were gonna oil that seal.
Today, 9:52, they were gonna oil today. Well, at least he gave you a heads up.
So I sent him back one this morning and said, I think it got postponed because of rain, then he sent me back and said, yeah, they're gonna get it this afternoon, so they are communicating. And then the only other thing is, Sunday, I got a couple of text messages from Mike Smith, who everybody else knows him differently.
Yes, yeah.
But, he sent me a picture of the golf course. Emerald Ash Borer is in Hartford. I seen the pictures he sent. I actually went out and looked at my ash trees. They are infected. Monday morning, I got a call from John Ball with South SDSU, who's kind of the tree guru for the state. And he said, yep, you are infected in Hartford. So they're not gonna make an announcement of it because it's in Humboldt, it's in Crooks, it's in Colton, it's everywhere. He said that for some reason, it jumped Hartford for a year, 2 years, and now it's here, so we will be monitoring the trees in the park and that stuff, keep an eye. I did walk through the park today. It looks like there might be a couple of them that are kind of iffy. They're hard to tell until after they really get infected. So at budget time, I'm gonna put together probably a 3 to 5 year plan on removing ash trees throughout town, what it's gonna cost. We do know from previous inventory, we've got about 253, I think is what I counted, boulevard trees throughout town, and we are just under 100 ash trees in the park. So, and we are treating about 20 some of them, so.
Are ash trees the ones that you can only bring down certain times of the year, like your own?
So right now, I was talking to John Ball about that to find out what they really recommend with all this. He says right now you can take them down, but the flying insect part of it is actually moving right now from tree to tree. So he says if you take it from here and throw it somewhere, it's gonna infest that area. But he said, like in town here, it isn't gonna matter.
Yeah.
We are in the quarantine area, so we can transport anytime. He says if you want to slow it down in your area, wait until August before you start taking down trees. But he said it's infected everywhere. He said it's not going to make a bit of difference if you haul one from this side of town to that side of town.
How do you see this going, I guess, now that we've got it, it's here? I mean, what, are we gonna, is there like a 5-year or a 10-year?
Anywhere between, depending on how long, it usually takes about 2 to 3 years before you start noticing it.
Okay.
A year to 2 years, I guess. So now that we know, I went around town today, driving around, I haven't really seen any trees that are really, I've seen a few of them here and there that are completely dead. Most of them are in yards. The boulevard trees didn't look too bad. So I think what we're gonna have to do is set up a plan on how much we wanna spend every year, and then take down the ones that we notice are really affected. And it might get to the point that, hopefully, it doesn't get to the point like Canton, where they end up having to go through and take every tree out in 1 year. Right.
We did pass, you that have been here, a policy on this emerald ash borer when it first came out. And so for that policy, the ones in the boulevard, we say in there that the city will remove any, 1 year after they die, the city will come in and remove those trees at our cost, not the homeowner. So we've talked about, yes, we need to kind of inventory, come a plan, especially for budgeting, because we're going to have to have more expense and bringing down trees, so that for us,
Oh, go ahead. Peter, you
Um,
have a question, sorry.
What did you tell me, Craig, when we were talking yesterday? if you've been treating and after you start cutting them down, they say you're gonna have to treat them for,
Yeah, so what they've been saying is if you're treating a tree, you have to continue that 2 years, every 2 years treating that tree or it will get infected. After we think it's been out of town and everything, all the ash trees are dead, everything, we think it's moved out of here or died off, they say about 10 years yet before that you need to keep injecting that tree to be safe. That's what they're saying right now, but it could change. I mean, it's been around for quite a few years, it just slowly been working its way around.
yeah, I have one and I'm treating mine.
And if they haven't been treated, I mean, they're pretty much doomed.
Yeah, if it hasn't been treated right now, I had somebody ask me today if they think they should treat it, and I said, I don't think I'd waste money right now, because it might be infected, you don't know.
Right.
You gotta look for a small little D-shaped hole from the borer, and on an ash tree, it is about impossible to find.
Yeah.
It's
Because
just
there is a,
one.
well, because there's other borers, I mean, they'll run numerous ones in there, but there's other borers that leave round holes.
Sure.
So we try to look for a round hole or a D hole in
Yeah.
It's a needle in a
bark.
haystack.
And
Yeah.
once you find it, you wanna kick it in the ash hole.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There you go.
I actually took a picture of one of my trees at home where you can see that distinct D, plain as day. And
Yeah, Craig showed me some pictures, you can really tell.
and if the woodpeckers, once it's infected, the woodpeckers will start going after that tree to get them
Right.
borers. So you'll notice a tree, if it's got a lot of woodpecker holes, it's probably infected, so.
Yeah.
And Mike's seen this on the course first.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of where he's-
Yeah, he sent it to me on Monday, because we were talking about it here a couple weeks ago. And he said, you know, we both like, I haven't seen it. And he walked the course the other day and he took a couple pictures and said, yeah, it's here there.
Yeah. So, all right.
Do you-
What else? Oh, go ahead.
Do you think that we should put something for residents?
I mean, we could throw something out there that it has been confirmed that the emerald ash borer
think we
is in
should.
Hartford.
I wonder if we shouldn't do that. Good idea.
Like I said, they're not gonna, usually they put it out in the news that, you know, oh, it's in Canton now. Well, that was before it was everywhere. Now they just said that it doesn't, it's, unless it jumps to another county, they won't.
There's some good, a good article or something somewhere about what,
Well, if we
Just
could-
something brief and then a link to more information, or?
I've got a bunch of stuff from it.
I'm trying to remember, I actually was just talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, I gotta treat this ash tree, and, I mean, if it saves them from doing that,
I mean,
they
a
don't
guy,
have to, you know.
if you have a guy that's reputable, that treats, have him really look it over, but you're not gonna be guaranteed.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Yeah, well, but, I mean, that, you know, if a resident, if I know that going into it, you
Right.
know, that's
how much
probably
is one treatment?
better for the.
I think, what did I tell you? I think I pay $132 or something like that every 2 years. They inject it all the way around
So much
the,
an inch
Okay, it's
per-
by the size.
Yeah,
It's by
all the way around the
size.
tree.
Bigger trees are.
it's really crazy to watch them do it.
I think-
Because it's all pressure and then they pump this thing up and it shoots yeah, it's crazy.
We pay, in the parks, we're paying about $7,000 every 2 years for
To get them,
what we're doing in the.
because
park.
those are big though.
Yeah.
Mine's not that.
We walked through the park and we picked out which ones we thought we should try to save, which ones we thought let it go.
And we'll need to continue that then.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, we want to keep them, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's, so far it's working, so that's all I'm gonna say, it's not,
Yeah.
you know, 100% guaranteed, you know, but right now it is working. Mike did say that he went around to some places that he knew were infected pretty heavy, and he checked some trees that he did inject, and he said they're still healthy looking, still look good. And he said there was a couple of people that said they weren't gonna do it anymore, and it's dead, dying now, so. So if you quit, it's gonna go.
You gotta
Right.
keep it up. Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of trees do you plant in the boulevards now?
Good question.
We haven't planted ash trees.
We haven't planted ash
Right.
trees for quite a few years. We've been doing like lindens, oaks, we do a variety. There's a lot of varieties of maples out there, so hopefully
Right.
something doesn't
Okay.
get a maple tree, or if it does, it only gets a certain
So
variety.
this doesn't cross over to other
No,
trees,
it'll
it'll
only
just stay
affect the
there.
ash trees.
My boulevard one.
Very informative, thank you, Craig.
See you, ladies.
Can't believe they're leaving.
This is so exciting.
That's all I got, unless anybody has any other
All right,
questions.
anybody got any questions for Craig?
Oh, gosh, gosh, water of the lagoons with the rain, we're doing all right there then?
Yeah,
Okay.
we dumped that one pond, so we're actually moving it over from 2 to 3 right now.
I
so
did
we're-
see that, yeah, I
Yep.
did see that, yeah.
So by the time we get ready to start discharging there, we're hoping that we can start dumping some ponds and getting rid of that water and getting them dried out.
You're not gonna have a problem with water, then any rain event, really, I mean, it'd probably take a lot at this point.
It'll take,
right?
yeah,
When you look at some of those old
yeah,
maps.
we've got, like I said, one completely empty, so now we've got plenty of reservoir, so, yep.
Perfect, sounds good.
All righty, thanks, Greg. Keep the pool warm.
I'll try.
The mirror's fragile.
Boy, Monday morning when it was cold, holy smokes. And I was the first one in, and I thought, oh man, as soon as these people start crawling in here, I'm gonna just get yelled at. They yelled at me for a whole hour. Oh, anyway. All right, Karen, what do you got?
Just my report, nothing to add. Let's go.
Nice to meet you. Very seldom say anything.
Must be a new episode of something.
Something must be. You been recording Bold and Beautiful? You gotta get up and watch it, or, you know? All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome.
Jeez. All right, Teresa, what do you got to
I'm just gonna
add
point out
on?
a couple things, it's not gonna be lengthy. You got project updates, just point out community access grant, so I am working with CCOG to resubmit that. This is the one last year that we submitted that the DOT didn't get in the approval process, so, obviously, most information is gathered, it's just updating it, but we'll get that resubmitted, because they said we can resubmit and still be eligible for the grant. And then, the thing I want to point out, I've contacted Rural Water, so our 20-year contract with them came up last year. We did an extension under the same terms and conditions, no changes. That is up here in June. Contacted Scott Buss. He is proposing we maybe do a 2-year extension this time, same terms, same conditions. Basically, they're not looking at wanting to negotiate anything until they get their new plant up and running. They're gonna look at, obviously, what the cost is in there, and then they're gonna decide what any new rates are, or what new costs for the water are. They're gonna, we've talked about this before, are they gonna charge for allocated amounts that aren't being used? And there's a whole gamut of stuff, but they really wanna wait till they get hard cost figures and know what they're looking at, and then start negotiating that. He didn't think it would get done in a year's time frame, so he's proposing a 2-year extension. So he is going to draft that very similar to what we had before. That'll probably come before you at the next meeting, just kind of give you a heads up on that. Really, everything else, unless you have questions on my update?
Anybody got any questions for Teresa? Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah, thank you.
Teresa.
Motion to table the discussion of the marketing plan until next meeting?
Yeah, I did, yeah. No discussion on a second, or on the table, so we'll just vote. Schilling,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Horn,
No.
Bowen,
Yes.
Mattson.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan.
And the only reason why is I'm gone next, so
Oh,
just,
shoot.
here's my notice that I'll be actually gone next meeting, so, but.
I will
mean,
as
it's
well.
not-
Oh,
I guess we don't
We
have
don't
the
have
next
a
meeting.
quorum, so
We
we
don't have
might
a
need
next
to
meeting?
change the date.
Can we do that without that on the agenda?
Can you do what?
I
Change the
support,
date of the next
Meeting
meeting
dates.
without the agenda, being on the agenda?
We won't have a quorum.
You're gone
so
too,
it's
Cindy?
gone.
Yeah.
You could,
They can.
because you're still gonna have notice, so.
Okay.
We can-
It'd just be kind of hard because of the emergency,
Otherwise,
you
you'd
don't
have
have
to
it
say it's
showed
a
up.
special meeting,
Right.
also with 24 hours notice, so.
I better get to work on getting somebody for Ward 2, I suspect, since nobody's stepping forward.
Well, it's the council that does that, though. It's not just the mayor's recommendation.
Yeah, he,
Council
The
can have
coun-
input.
The council has to
we do need to look
technically
at it.
do that. but-
Yeah, we do need to look at it. I would
I mean, it's
agree.
not like planning and
So-
zoning where it's mayor appoints,
Right,
council approves,
right.
the council actually.
Yeah.
Hold on, that's when we sign the checks. we need to have a meeting at some point, because that's when all the
Oh, yeah,
bills
we're
get
gonna need to
approved.
reschedule.
Yeah, we'll be
We'll
able
have to have a
to,
second.
we'll be able to reschedule the meeting, but he's talking like you were
I know.
saying. Yeah, so, I'm sorry, yeah.
The mayor has the most time though, okay?
Oh, my.
So he's gonna go out there and hunt and gather, and he'll bring it to us, and then we'll make a decision.
So my schedule for that time frame, I'm gone from the 10th to the 18th.
I'm gone from well, I could be back the night of the 12th, but the 13th through the 19th.
Can we do this right now, or should we wait till the end? Doesn't matter.
Matters to
You
me.
need 4, so,
Huh?
you need 4, so they wouldn't both have to be there.
One of them has to be there.
One of them has to.
Right.
Yeah,
And
true.
the other
Yeah, so
3.
if you wanted to, yeah. Or we could move it to that 23rd, 24th, but that might come
So
into
that, so
play.
23rd Park and Rec and 24th is P and Z.
P&Z, gotcha.
16th an option? You're gone?
I am gone.
I'm gone.
Okay.
You're both gone.
What were your dates again, Cindy?
13th through the 19th. I wouldn't be available on the 19th. I won't get back.
And I'm the 10th to the 18th, so you can pretty much say the 10th to the, for both of us there, yeah, I guess.
23rd is Park and Rec, 24th is,
P&Z. So I hate to do this to city staff, I mean, 25th?
That is the SMGA golf outing,
Yeah.
but that should be no
I
problem.
wouldn't think, I've done that before, I guess, but, how is your guys' schedule look on the 25th, I guess?
25th will work for me, that's fine.
So we're gonna go do the golf tournament and come here?
Yep.
Need a couple hours to get a cat nap in there.
I'll volunteer to drive.
Yeah, it's here, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's true, it is here, yeah.
yeah, it is here.
I'll make it work.
Are you back, can you do like the 19th? Are you
I
back?
can, that's, I mean, that's
I
Jamboree
wouldn't be
days.
back.
That's Jamboree days is the only thing, so.
No, that's the pie social.
I won't be here.
Yeah,
because
we can't
I
do
have
it,
volunteer
because we got
that
events going on downtown.
I mean,
Let's do the 25th.
do we need a motion then? Just, all right, so I'll make a motion to move the second meeting in June to June 25th at 7, work for everybody? 7 PM,
Same
yeah.
time.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Well, that gets me off the hook of bringing cupcakes.
Yeah, here I
Hey,
voted.
you get your birthday free.
I get my birthday free. All right, let's move into new business. First up, review, approve county plat for Lot 1 in the Ruhlman addition. We've looked at this in the past,
Yeah,
correct?
so-
Yeah,
We've had some of these in the past. Anytime land gets platted that is outside city limits, but in our growth area,
Yep.
it needs to come through the city for approval before it can go to the county, since it's in our growth area.
yeah.
This is about 1.25 miles outside the city. It is in our growth area. P and Z reviewed it at their last meeting. The plat's been reviewed by ISG. It conforms to our regulations. As you guys know, or maybe Michelle knew for you, but when we do have a plat outside the city before approval, part of our regulations is they gotta sign a pre-annexation agreement, which basically states that when the city goes out to them and touches that parcel, if we want them to annex, ask them to annex, they won't fight it. And that's just to ensure that the city can continue growing. That agreement has been signed and delivered to the city, so we do have that in place. So they're meeting all our regulations.
All right,
Motion to approve county plat for Lot 1 of Ruhlman addition.
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Schilling?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right, next up, final contract approval for 12th and Oaks project. We have two. We have a change order number 6. We'll deal with that first for Alliance Construction, a deduct of $80,849.51.
Motion to approve change order 6 to Alliance Construction for the deduct $80,849.51.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
Second one is to review, approve pay application number 8 for Alliance Construction for $45,472.23. And this is, we would assume, the final payment?
Yep, this
Or-
will be final payment.
Yep.
We're paying out all retainage. And basically, we want to get everything paid so we can get it submitted for our grant reimbursement, because our grant expires at the end of June, so we got
Yep.
to get that all processed and paid out. Like I put in my report, basically, the only things that aren't done is kind of removal of some of the silt fencing and some of the requirements of our stormwater permit. And the seeding's probably the biggest thing that is planted. We just don't know if it's fully going to take. I did talk with IDG today. Alliance Construction is going to give us a warranty for the seed. So I'll hang on to that check until I get that warranty in place. And that way it gives us some assurances, since usually we would hold retainage, but we don't want to do that in this instant because we want to get our grant money from it, so.
So this is it? I mean, we're done after this?
Yes.
Is that, okay, there's no punch list or nothing like that?
And
then?
this
Okay.
would be it for this evening.
Got it.
Make a motion to approve pay request number 8 to Alliance Construction for $45,472.23.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
All right. Next up, review, approve Teton Ridge Consulting Service Agreement and Statement of Work number 1.
Motion to approve Teton Ridge Consulting Services Agreement and Statement of Work number 1.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Schilling?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
All right. Lastly, can't roll through here fast enough,
Same here.
is review 2026 budget request form. This came about because we had some questions on, what kind of information are we getting, and basically really highlights the statement that we want them to be very prudent when they're asking for money, correct?
Yep. Yep, so this is pretty much the request form we send out to the various entities saying if you want to request money from the city at budget time, this needs to be filled out, returned to us, along with the, requested documents like their budget, their balance sheet, so we can kind of look all that P&L, so we can look that over. I think, John, I think a few of you have said through it's like, I want to see this or that, so I want you guys to look at this, and if there's anything additional you guys want.
I guess my question would be,
I
can
want
we
to have
ask
that.
for their tax filing for the previous year?
Copies of the tax filing?
Should be able to ask for whatever we want, right, Tom? I mean, we're not forcing them, but it's a mess.
I just think that it'd be nice to see that matching some of the other information.
I would agree with that. However, some of them, I think if it's less than 50,000.
They still have to do a postcard.
They do, okay.
Yep.
I did
Yep,
not know
they
that.
still have
Okay,
to.
yeah, so,
Yeah, we
yeah, I'm
can
good
do
with that.
Can I add in maybe more of a discussion here? I like that idea because, and I think this is good for the public to know, the people that watch or listen is, and it says right here, we strive to be good stewards of taxpayers' money. And so, it's not that we want to create, well, we do want to create high barriers to entry if people are going to take money, take other taxpayer money. One thing that I would like to see maybe a little bit more articulated in this, but it's not I'm not going to negotiate on this too hard, is like, what value are you bringing to the city of Hartford, right? So it's good, hey, how are they spent, it's good, but also I'd like to see like, like I know what a lot of these things do, but just a short little statement, like what is your organization doing that is creating value in the city? That way, it just kind of articulates who, it doesn't have to be a robust statement, but we're already putting a few lines on there, it just.
But that could really be subjective though, too, you know.
I agree.
I think even.
But if we're gonna give them money.
Oh, I
it should be
get it,
objective.
I'm not arguing,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, that could be a very.
Is that, I think somewhere in some of our discussions, we asked about a mission statement. Again, some of these organizations are small,
Yep.
but I still think usually they have some purpose that they've outlined when they put their not-for-profit together.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether it's a mission or their purpose
Statement of view, a statement. Right.
Something, like, you know, if
Yeah.
the senior center is gonna come and ask for a new dishwasher, $1,000, hey, that's great, right? I should have brought that one up during the open discussion, how's that dishwasher going?
But they fundraised most of that.
Don't bring that up.
Wonderful. But you know, hey, we provide an atmosphere for senior citizens, which is
the dishwasher.
the largest part of our community.
I do think though too, along with this, and it's good that we're gonna have, I'm glad we tabled that, because the marketing deal's gonna take a little time. But I think when we have that discussion of marketing as a whole as a city, some of these questions, like Cindy asked or you asked, Sean, will come into play. What are they doing? How are we doing this? What's the role of the city? How much are we gonna be involved in what they're doing, and how are we going to drive that boat? If we drive it to the ultimate, we want everybody pulling the rope the same way, let's get everybody going the same way.
Well, because as a nonprofit organization, I mean, as DHI, and I'm on DHI, as a nonprofit organization, we have different events where we raise funds. What are we doing those funds to put that back into our community?
Right.
And
Yes.
I think
I think
that
that's more
every
of a-
nonprofit organization, if you have funds sitting there that you have raised money, and the city has actually given you funds to help you with your event,
Yeah.
what are you doing with those extra funds to put back into our community?
Yes.
Maybe that's what we need to phrase it as, instead of what's your mission or your vision or whatever. I mean, maybe that's what we need to go with that instead.
Yeah.
So I think some articulation with these discussions would be, you know, it's easy to have another line on there.
Yeah,
That way.
you guys question, so, under documents, so what I'm hearing is under documents, basically request a copy of their 2004 tax filings. And then, like I said, under the questions, it's like, basically, tell to the city, you know, what's the purpose of your organization, how do you support the community?
Yep.
Is that kind of in a nutshell?
Does, the only other question I would have is maybe bylaws. If
I bet you most of these don't have them.
that's where I was going with that.
I mean, like,
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
departments couldn't have them, but.
No, but I think
Yeah, I
he
mean,
brings up,
some-
I think he brings up an interesting point with that, because the last thing I wanna do is micromanage anybody, but here's the problem. Not the problem, but when you come and ask for money, just like if I go to the bank and get money, there are restrictions, okay? Those restrictions are different versus if I go to my mom and ask for money, you know. But if you're coming, listen.
Listen,
Listen
sometimes you
here.
gotta ask mom.
I haven't asked mom, the only time, I haven't asked mom for money since I wanted to propose to my wife. I started a new job, I
Need
needed to get a
some
ring.
ring money.
I needed a ring money, and I paid her back in full, with interest. But I think what he's bringing up is a good point, is that, I wanna make sure that we're partnering up with organizations, maybe they don't have bylaws, but I think it is good for us to understand the structure, because if they're an organization and I mean, I'm not gonna get too specific right now, but I know where you're going, and I think that's good, and that will help us make wise decisions of what we're gonna do with taxpayer money.
I just have mixed feelings about that, because A, are we really going to spend the time going through their bylaws and at that time pass judgment on quality, or like what kind of a rabbit hole are we crawling into?
I would agree with that. I wouldn't think that we'd want to do that. I would think
I'd rather do that
more
separate.
I'd rather-
of a,
yeah.
we've got them on file.
I'd rather
That's more
baby,
what I would do.
I'd rather baby step and get them to the point where they say, like Michelle said, what are they doing
Yep.
to betterment of the city? let's baby step this deal a little bit before we start. Because I think if we go down the bylaw deal, then we're gonna look like we're
But
gonna
here's the thing
really.
though, to combat that, they're coming and asking for.
For money. I
Taxpayer
get it.
money. So
Right.
I wanna
I get it.
combat
Yeah.
this a little bit, but I also understand those concerns. But when you're coming asking for taxpayer money, there has to be a high barrier to entry of getting that money. There has to be.
Different than mom money.
That's different than mama money.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe we do take the step that this is the first step, and then,
Yeah.
you know, then in the future, you know, maybe we ask everybody who comes.
Do you
their
have-
bylaws,
Yeah.
I think if
you
we
know.
want to
That's a
really
great
do
point.
that,
That's a
like
great
maybe
point.
throughout the course of the year, we meet individually with each organization.
And I think
That's a
that's
great
gonna come
idea,
too,
too.
if we read
Yeah.
the
But not
marketing
fill
plan,
ourselves
that's what
up
I think I
budget
had in
Right.
there.
Yeah.
To go through bylaws.
That they keep.
Why do we have to have a high barrier to entry? Is there some newsworthy event that's occurred with some of these?
It's coming down the pipeline soon, no.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
for the most part, we are still a small community.
Yeah. Right.
We know the people that are asking
Yeah.
for the funds, we know how those funds are being spent, and we don't micromanage how they spend them. Right? I mean,
And we
that's-
can't, and we can't.
We don't want to, I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
We want them to continue having great events.
Do I want them
Right.
to have open discussion with us? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's where when you,
Right.
when
I
you,
kinda
when you
like-
pull in the marketing plan thing,
Yeah.
should really kind of bring it all full circle.
I do
kinda
too,
like the,
yeah.
you know, in the TIF discussion, the question about, you know, what if they don't have this? You know, what happens?
Right.
I think that's, I don't know if I'm suggesting, but that's an interesting question to me, like, what do the city dollars allow you to do that you would not be able to do?
That's part of their-
That question.
Yeah, that's-
almost even
yeah.
more.
That's actually,
That's
that's
kind of-
To your question too, Michelle, I almost like that. just-
like that criteria.
That's kind of Tom's question, and if you look through the criteria, the first one is, but if.
But for what?
But for.
Yeah, but for.
If you don't have this,
What happens?
what happens?
That is excellent.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Perfect.
So,
I
That
completely agree with
pigtail,
that.
that
pig or ponytail or something.
that pole vaults,
Yeah, okay.
off of my comment earlier today, like, we hear every year from the Jamboree Committee, how expensive carnivals are. Now, next year, if they come to us and they say, we have a carnival secured, but we need $30,000 from the city to pull it off, that's a whole different discussion than,
Yeah.
we need $30,000 to do that
Absolutely.
Jamboree days.
Right.
Yep.
That's a specific.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Good point.
I
You
like
got
that.
what you need?
Motion to
Yep.
table we just review it?
No, I don't know.
Take action on it?
Can we just, yeah,
Just
just
gonna
approve it
take no
with
action and
amended?
maybe-
Because I would really like to make these changes and get it out to them, so that gives these organizations time to
Yep.
have their meetings and discuss it and whatnot before
Yeah, because that would be,
Kinda come back to us.
it would be approved till the 24th, so then
Yeah.
25th, so then.
And I would
you
like
have
it
till July
by
1st, so.
mid-July at least, because I
you're
really
gonna
like
make
a
these
month to
changes?
work on budget.
Perfect, so make those, so I'll just make a motion to approve with, as amended.
Yep, that's-
Sweet. I'll second that.
Perfect. All right, any other discussion?
Glad to see it.
Good points, good conversation, everybody. We'll vote. Mattson?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes.
Horn?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Schilling?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I would like just for quickly to go into executive session for, do you have anything?
I have personnel.
Personnel and economic development.
So moved.
As long as we got Tom here, I want to give this a little bit. All in favor?
I got a pocket knife, let's just cut that thing out,
Yeah,
so it's unusable.
I wrote 2 things down. I'll share them with you. Yeah.
All right.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you on June 25th.